guys, it's Ramon here. New for 2016 are the redesigned MacBook Pros. They come in the 13 and 15 inch models. And the 13 inch has two options, either the touch bar or the one with the function keys. What I have here is a 13 inch MacBook Pro Space Gray baseline model with the function keys. That's a mouthful. Here's the MacBook Pro. Paperwork and stickers. A 61 watt power brick. And a 2-meter USB-C cable. Right out the box, you can tell that it borrows a lot of its design from the 12-inch MacBook, and is totally built like a brick without weighing like one. It's also super thin, just at 14.9mm. Build quality is something Apple laptops have always been very good at. Looking at the sides, you'll notice you only have two USB Type-C ports, both of which are Type-C Thunderbolt. As you know, they'll support up to 40 gigabits of transfer and run everything from external displays to card readers and even charging. Gone is the MagSafe and SD card slot, but we still got a headphone jack. We don't know when Apple is actually going to phase this out, but they seem to be going in that direction. If you do happen to own iPhone 7, there is no way to plug in the included Lightning earpods into your new MacBook Pro, which is kind of a bummer, unless you have a dongle for it. Thankfully, cheap and reliable USB-C multi-adapters are now widespread across the market. This model sports a 2GHz dual-core i5 Skylake processor, as opposed to the 2.9 GHz which comes with the 13-inch MacBook with the touch bar, and 8GB of RAM with Intel Iris 540 integrated graphics. Judging by the specs, it would seem like it's a very underpowered machine, especially if you've never owned a Mac before. But for those of you who do own a Mac, you already know that optimization is king here, and this MacBook Pro is no exception. What bugs me though is how watered down this model is compared to the 13-inch with a touch bar. They should have at least kept the same specs and offered an option between choosing a touch bar or a function key model. Even the removal of the two extra USB-C ports was very uncalled for. The keyboard sports a second generation butterfly mechanism. Love it or hate it, the old MacBook Pro's chiclet key travel is gone. They seem to have left that in the past and opt to move to this new design across all of their laptops. Now comparing it to the 12-inch MacBook, which is using the first generation butterfly keys, you can definitely feel a difference. The MacBook Pro's keys are much more tactile, they get more travel and stick out a bit more too. As opposed to the flush key design with the 12-inch MacBook, they also produce a much more audible click sound. I personally like typing on the new keys, but this is a subjective matter, as you can get used to anything you actually put time into. The backlighting on the keys are not as bright though. Side by side max brightness, you can tell the 12-inch MacBook keyboard is a lot brighter. This could be because the new keys are taller and further away from the LEDs. Upward facing speakers on both sides are also new to the 13-inch model. These are very loud for laptop speakers, even more than 12-inch MacBook. Apple says it has twice the dynamic range of the previous MacBook Pro, with 58% more volume. It's really loud, and the clarity on this is amazing. Even at max volume you get little to no distortion. We also get a new trackpad, and this thing is massive. When the 12-inch MacBooks came out, we saw a big jump in the size of the trackpad compared to the previous models. This time around, the MacBook Pros push it even further. It's really nice to have that much space to use this trackpad. I thought this would pose a problem when typing, but after using it for a while, the palm rejection on these are very good. Remember when I said the keyboard was clickier? That's the opposite for a trackpad. I don't know if it's because of the bigger surface, but the 12-inch MacBook's haptic feedback is really better. You get a much more subtle click feeling this time around. Not a deal breaker or anything, just something I had to point out. At this point, the models get very confusing. This sports the exact same silhouette as the touch bar model and is also called MacBook Pro. I feel like Apple is tossing the Pro label around a little too much. This should at least have been called the 13-inch MacBook, seeing as this is the machine to replace the MacBook Air line. I think they kept the Pro label because it sports the same housing as the touch bar model, but they could have at least come up with some way of naming the two differently. You get the exact same display as a more expensive 13-inch model. It's a 13.3-inch 2560 by 1600 resolution display, and this thing's really bright. Apple claims that this has 500 nits of brightness and 67% higher contrast ratio, and it really shows. I don't even think I will ever use this at max brightness, but it's a nice option whenever you need it. It's still a glossy display though, but definitely usable under sunlight. I compared again to 12-inch MacBook, and it's a tad bit brighter. You still only get a 720p webcam though, which I don't really use anyway. 256 gigs of SSD storage also comes standard. Read and write speeds on this are phenomenal. People have reported that it breaks the Blackmagic speed test that I tried out for myself. Write speed is about 1300 Mbps, and read speeds breaks the gauge at 2000 Mbps. Although Apple claims that both the touch bar and function key models of the 13-inch MacBook Pro should run for about 10 hours, keep in mind this model has a 54.5 watt-hour battery, as opposed to the touch bar model only having 49.2. This also has a smaller cooling system, having only one fan, more likely due to the fact that this processor also runs cooler than the 28-watt i5 that comes standard in the touch bar model. My dislikes. The price obviously is one. Don't get me wrong, you actually get a very well built laptop and nothing on this thing looks or feels cheap at all. But at this price, I feel like I shouldn't be sacrificing anything. The USB-C only ports, fine, I can live with that. It'll eventually be the port of the future. I already made peace with that when I bought the 12-inch MacBook. I'll just use the adapters I already have and use them on this. But if you're new to a USB-C only laptop, you're gonna need adapters and they're gonna cost you. So just keep that in mind because they will be a necessity. And having 2 ports instead of 4, that's a letdown. They shouldn't have removed. The function key model should also have 4 ports. I mean, it is a Pro. Next is the lack of an SD card slot. That takes a lot of getting used to. SD cards are not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Having an SD card slot was something always very handy on a MacBook Pro. Sadly, it's a design that got carried over from the 12-inch MacBook as well. So, adapters. If you're in the market for a new MacBook, this is a nice upgrade. They are very pricey, but that is nothing new to Apple products. You do get your money's worth with build quality, speakers, trackpad, etc. For most people, those aren't the things that are gonna come on the top of your head when shopping for a new laptop. Obviously, specs are the #1 thing you look at, right? If you do happen to own last year's model, I don't see a need for an upgrade. There are also rumors that next year's release will see a significant price cut on these models. We could probably also expect more colors to come in the future. Right now they only come in silver and space gray. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed for a matte black MacBook Pro. That was a mouthful. So, what do you guys think about the new MacBook Pros? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.